Highly pathogenic avian influenza can have a devastating impact on poultry flocks, and since being confirmed as a potentially serious zoonotic threat, is unfailing in its ability to cause fear and make the headlines. But in spite of the media-propelled interest in so-called bird flu, and the inherent difficulties faced with controlling a virus perfectly adapted for evasion, the UK has been able to control the disease and achieved avian influenza-free status in 2008.
In this film, I explore the structure of avian influenza control schemes and discover how these interact at an international, national and local level to keep humans and poultry in the UK free from disease.
Avian influenza is an influenza A virus from the single-stranded RNA virus family Orthomyxoviridae. The segmented genome codes for 11 proteins, with one of the surface receptors, hemagglutinin, being a key determinant of host specificity and pathogenicity. Strains primarily infect birds, and are broadly classified on the basis of their ability to cause disease. Low pathogenic strains cause mild disease in poultry and may go unnoticed, whilst highly pathogenic strains can decimate a poultry flock overnight. Wild birds are the natural reservoir of avian influenza, and many species like ducks can be asymptomatically infected, whilst migratory birds may import disease from other countries, and therefore control plans must consider this risk.
Now, the world might be a big place, but diseases don't respect borders, and avian influenza is very much a global disease. Therefore, worldwide cooperation is needed in order to stay abreast of the constantly changing situation.
At the international level, 3 key organisations are involved in monitoring avian influenza outbreaks: the World Health Organization, WHO, the World Organization for Animal Health, OIE, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. The organisations work to monitor disease from slightly different but overlapping perspectives, the WHO focusing on human health, the OIE on animal health, and the FAO encompassing both with its mission of developing food and agricultural security.
Data is collated and visualised into maps to track the patterns of infection. Behind me is a WHO map of confirmed human H-Pi cases since 2003, and now the updated map for 2010. In like manner, the OIE also collate information into maps, as can be seen behind me, for confirmed H-Pi cases in poultry from 2003 and from 2010.
Unlike the WHO and FAO, which are part of the United Nations, the OIE is an independent organisation, and from its headquarters in Paris, plays a vital role in acting as a reference standard for testing protocols, and for providing advice and training to its member countries in different areas of disease control. In addition, the World Trade Organization recognises it as the reference organisation against whose standards free trade between member states can be facilitated.
To visualise the structure of control, we can create what I like to call a control pyramid. At the top, we can place our supra-international organisations, the WHO, the OIE and the FAO, which are each propelled by broad drivers of human health and animal health related issues like trade and social and economic well-being. Below this, from a European perspective, we can place the 27 member countries of the European Union, of which the UK is a member, governed from Brussels in Belgium.
The legislation provides a baseline of prevention and control measures, enabling each member country to adapt the schemes according to their situation. Poultry production varies across the EU, and the outcome of an H-Pi outbreak on this holding is likely to be very different to one occurring here.
At a national level, we can now introduce the Government Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, which leads the UK-wide policy making in coordination with the devolved Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish administrations.
The Avian Influenza and Influenza of Avian Origin in Mammals 2006 order lays out specific rules for prevention and control in England, and similar documents enforce legislation for the other UK countries. DEFRA maintain an annually updated contingency plan for exotic diseases, including avian influenza, which outlines the necessary steps to take were a case to be identified in the UK.
To complete the base of our pyramid now, we can involve control at a local level, which primarily affects farmers, but also includes the public and retailers.
The pyramid structure is used because the number of entities involved at each level increases as you descend, starting with a few big international organisations and moving towards a base of a large number of individuals involved with local level control.
So, what happens if a suspected case of avian influenza is detected?
Scanning surveillance based on compulsory reporting under the Animal Health Act 1981 is the main method by which avian influenza in domestic poultry will be picked up, usually from the appearance of clinical signs. Farmers or local vets are obliged to report suspicion of disease to the nearest animal health office, who will send out a veterinary inspector to the premise. The key to controlling avian influenza is to catch it early. Therefore, the veterinary inspector, upon suspicion of disease, immediately sets up a temporary movement restriction zone around the premise of poultry, eggs, mammals and vehicles that could carry the virus to other areas, and also a temporary control zone in the area which incorporates nearby farms at high risk. Samples are taken and submitted to the Veterinary Laboratories Agency in Weybridge for testing. The VLA is an important body in avian influenza control, acting not only at the national level, but at the international level as well, serving as the EU Community and OIE reference lab. If test results confirm HPI, then all birds on the premise are killed and tracing carried out to identify contact premises, which are then put under movement restrictions themselves. This needs to be carried out swiftly, therefore an effective communication link must exist between the lab, disease management team and outbreak team on the ground. A protection and surveillance zone of minimum 3 and 10 kilometres are set up, in which movement and trade is variably limited. This involves official liaison of the Chief Veterinary Officer with the Secretary of State, who must declare the zones. The UK is obligated to report confirmed highly pathogenic strains and low pathogenic strains of the H5 and H7 subtype due to the risk of recombination to the EU and OIE, who monitor changes in the situation from an international level and give advice to member countries regarding any risk facing them. We return to the control pyramid and see that the effectiveness of the control scheme relies on its base, that is, the farmers reporting disease quickly. Farmers receive full compensation for live birds culled, which acts as an incentive for swift reporting. Throughout the process, information is also fed back down the pyramid to the farmers, informing and updating them on control procedures. Providing up-to-date information for stakeholders throughout the outbreak is essential to ensure transparency and maintain trust.
Now, the internet, especially government websites, is an important tool for disseminating information. But not everything on the web is reliable, and if updates aren't delivered in a timely fashion, then a so-called information vacuum can form, which can be filled. Avian influenza. It's having you on. It's a bacteria. It's a bacteria. It's a bacterium.
It's a virus.
It's fine. It's not even a big deal. Which can be filled by whoever gets there first.
DEFRA therefore keep their website updated with press releases to inform the public and media about the evolving outbreak situation. In this film, we have seen that avian influenza control works at an international, national and local level, and that this EU to egg legislative structure is essential
to keep us humans, as well as these guys, free from avian influenza.